live. Hello, everybody.
What's
Welcome
up?
back. Timberwolves win, but in more important news, I got some free Crocs.
What? Really?
I did. Cash App
What's
had this.
happening?
Cash App
Dude, that's
had a deal.
amazing.
Did you see any of this Cash App stuff this last week?
No.
So they do this thing every year. I missed out on it last year, but this year they did every day this week. There was 99% off of a
Wow.
purchase up to a certain dollar amount. So like the first day was 99% off of what was the first one? Crocs. So I got it
Oh.
for Crocs for 40 cents.
Oh my God.
So I'm wearing them right now, and actually, here I'll show everybody. It's actually just sandals. Oh, you can't really see, but
Wait, Crocs make sandals?
I know it's crazy, and I can
Wait,
buy things
and
to put on these
Cash App was like the store is nearby. Just go to the store and get it for 40 cents.
online. So you just had to apply the
Oh.
boost to your Cash App card and use it online. So
And
boom,
then you did it today and you got the shoes today, or you did it when
did it
whatever that was.
Monday, and then I got a
Okay.
shirt from Crunchyroll. I got a shirt from the North Face, and I got a shirt from. There was one more I can't remember, but I got a bunch of stuff for basically free this week.
Well, that's amazing. You should tell me more about this some other time.
I think right now is better. So we're going to continue
Now
with
it's
Cash
better.
App. um, anyways, the Wolves won and Chad is taking over. So I
Yeah.
appreciate that.
The big boy. Welcome, the big boy.
Welcome back.
Ah,
Appreciate you.
Cheryl, JJ, good to see you all.
Yes. And, but yeah, I mean, this is a good game. This was a great game to watch. And I think one that I think probably most of us maybe foolishly expected to win. I had good feelings going into this game, not because I think that we're better than the Lakers, but because LeBron is hurt. The Lakers,
Mm.
like I predicted early on, they're always in shambles in the beginning of the season. They'll be fine-ish by the end of the
Eh,
season.
yeah.
But also, Cat's better against bigs. So, Cat's better against big bigs, and he
Mhm.
showed that tonight.
Yeah. Also, they're doing something crazy with Towns just on the load here. Like they're putting him on Kent Bazemore, and they're having Vando on Anthony Davis. They're putting him on like Rondo and Westbrook even at times, and they're putting other people on the bigs. But yes, he can handle himself defensively versus the bigs. But like I think it was mainly because of like getting in cheap foul trouble, but also just like they're just experimenting.
Mm-hmm.
Like even against like savvy teams like the Lakers. I don't like talking about the other team too much, but holy fuck, that is one of the worst teams I've seen in a long time.
They need some
Those
stuff.
Lakers need overhaul upon the overhaul because they have like Rondo, Westbrook, Wayne Ellington, Malik Monk, and Avery Bradley shooting threes. Like,
Mm-hmm.
I'll take Jaden McDaniels. I'll take Josh Kogi.
Yeah.
I'll take our team.
Yeah.
And like even fucking thank God that like Beasley made the three. Even like did the whole fucking like fucking thankfully.
Yeah.
Right? Like because I was like he missed his first shot. He had like a costly turnover in the first half. I'm like, let's fucking just let him go right now.
Yeah.
Like, anyways, yeah, the Lakers, even with LeBron, looks I don't know, they'll be fine. They'll figure it out. They'll get some random player. Melo's maybe their best 3-point shooter, reliable 3-point shooter, which is also kind of a weird thing to say out loud for the Lakers. But
Yeah.
man, it felt fucking good to win. Also, as you said, and maybe I'm stealing your thunder here, that fourth quarter was a snooze fest.
Yeah, it was. It was really bad.
I want more snooze fest. I
Yeah.
want us to just go up and build a lead, build on a lead early in the third quarter, and we can get some Bolmaro time.
Yeah, I think this team could actually, we've been bad in third quarters for the last decade, but I mean, we've been pretty bad in third quarters. However, over the last couple games, we've been good, and I think there's no reason that this team can't have the third quarter be their best quarter. I think that would be a great thing to focus on because I think
Yeah.
we're a team that comes out hot in the beginning of the game and then gives a lead back immediately, which is okay.
Yeah.
It's a game of runs. But if you come out in the third and kind of sucker punch the team, that really puts them on their heels and makes things just so much easier for you, both on the road and at home, to kind of maintain a lead instead of fighting back midway through the fourth, or because then if momentum shifts back again, then you're just gone. So I would love to see this team focus on third quarters just in general, like they did tonight. But yeah, this is just a fun third quarter. I mean,
Yeah.
we've got people taking victory laps like Chucky Anthony on Twitter, proclaiming that this is now proof that all of our criticisms are invalid.
Dude, that must be the worst follow on your Twitter account. Like, I don't know what you're doing with that.
It's
but
purely for news.
whatever his news is deemed worthy. Yeah.
Yes.
Way to bounce back, Cat. Like, I was miserable after that last game, and it wasn't because of like our lack of effort. Especially there was some like we could glean through the game and like watch highlights and watch the recaps of certain players and be like, oh, that's a great positive sign from a game that we lost. Taking Naz Reid and Ant and even a little bit of like D'Lo right in out of that game. I was really worried that we would just kind of come up flat, kind of overconfident, and like just shoot our brains out or hit the broadside of the barn kind of thing, and like we came and we kind of started that way. We were kind of playing to the level of the competition, which was like Westbrook and Rondo and like Wayne Ellington shooting threes and missing, and Kent Bazemore or whatever, and we weren't really responding. We weren't like even taking out the team in the first quarter. Yep. We had 3 minutes of solid basketball, and it was really worrisome where we weren't like trying to take over the game. It wasn't until the third quarter. So something went right, and something went like right into the heads of the players, and it didn't help or didn't hurt that, they couldn't make a shot in the third quarter.
Yeah. JJ reminded me of something. The Finch quote, we didn't talk about this at all last time. Well, I think it just happened yesterday or maybe today even. But he's like, we need to take out Towns's, what was the wording? It was
stray voltage.
Yes, and that is just perfect. Also, to hear that come from the coach,
yes,
was like, oh,
loved
this is
it.
Perfect. Like, thank goodness. It's not like being brushed aside as, oh, it's just Towns being Towns. It's like this is an actual bad thing. I was so happy to hear that, even if nothing changed of it, just because I like to have the knowledge of that being a thing. Now, given there was extra voltage at times tonight, still
just a couple times.
Yes,
you could count them on one hand. Like the first quarter was really solid from Cat all around, and in my opinion, and the first 3 minutes were like, oh, this is the new Cat. This is the Cat we need to see from here on out.
Yeah, it's interesting. I'm kind of at a point where I've been led astray so many times from Timberwolves teams that I have a hard time taking like Towns' game tonight, which was a great game, as like a step in the right direction, only because he's been in the league so long. And I was kind of, and I don't mean to be a downer on a win, but like the things that I was thinking about since the last show, because a lot of people were coming out with kind of counter reasons to why we shouldn't trade Towns, and obviously, I mean, like after our last show, like that's still probably a thought process of mine, but I think the thing for me is that like sure he can improve these things. We know he can improve all the things that he needs to improve. It's a matter of will he, and maybe tonight was the beginning of that, but it's just really hard for me to fully believe that, and it's just gonna have to be an actions speak louder than words thing. And hey, if it takes criticism to make him have a game like this, then you will see all the criticism that we can possibly give every single night. Not saying that he cares about us at all, obviously. But you know what I mean? Like just the people, the fans, the media, all of that. Like he needs the criticism because apparently he comes out and does performances like he did tonight.
Yeah, for sure. I was kind of worried about the season a little bit because Cat came into training camp late, didn't participate in all those drills, all the team bonding things early in the training camp. He kind of did the superstar kind of treatment where like, he's just sitting in the back while they're all kind of scrimming and they're all doing all the 5-on-5s. And like Ant was in Atlanta doing his other thing, but like he came in and he was ready. But when Ant came in, Cat was still sitting out apparently, doing light drills on occasion. I think he started the season a little flat. I think he started the season not quite like together and in sync with his teammates. Maybe it's taken him till game 11, but also he's made shots tonight. Like, so we can scrap away some of like the negative connotation or like negative, like things that we've been saying about him, because he just straight up made shots tonight. He made some incredible shots tonight. And unlike that Memphis game, buzzer beater to overtime, which we were like we wanted him to miss just to get the game over with. Like, it was kind of fantastic that he made that 0.5-second one. That was like a kind of a culmination of what was going right for the Wolves tonight, right? Like,
yeah,
just like things were happening, things were clicking. D'Lo had a stinker first half. D'Lo had a sensational second half. Ant was kind of not to be found, but wow, we won a game without Ant to be found. Like, these are good takes. These are good takeaways.
I would say also for Ant, just to piggyback off of what you're saying about Ant, like, he had a bad game, but at the same time, I don't think his game took that much away from the team. Obviously, we won, but like like some players and stars have bad games, and they completely tank the entire team because it's like they need the ball to go through them. They need the whole offense and or defense to go through them. And if they're not doing well, then the rest of the team's not doing well. So I think it's great to see Ant have a bad game, and it was a bad game. But he only took 11 shots. He only took 5 threes, which is better than he has been doing. And he did have 5 turnovers, which hurts. But, there was some incredible defensive plays that he had as well. So, I just think seeing Ant have a bad game and us still win is good. Another thing that I would like to see is I'd like to see we had this early on in the season when we were 3-1. We had a couple games where, D'Lo was still struggling in the beginning, but I just want to see all 3 of our big 3 have a good game together and see how that looks.
That'd be fantastic. That'd feel like 2003, 2004 Wolves.
Yes.
With like Sprewell, Cassell, and KG. Another thing that we got to say is they had a game plan against Ant and against D'Lo. They were pressing, and they were forcing a lot of bad decision making by D'Lo early. And I think they relaxed late in the game, and then they're like, oh, then D'Lo went off, right? Bradley was all over Anthony Edwards. Edwards had nothing to do. Like, he just sat in the corner even at moments when he couldn't get the ball. He couldn't find himself open or in a position to be open. And luckily, Cat kind of took it upon himself to be the shot maker, shot taker tonight. And they went with a different lineup where they had like Wayne Ellington start instead of like what they usually do, which is like Dwight Howard or something. Maybe just because they were just without DeAndre Jordan. They usually start Jordan. And I guess they just rested him or something. I don't know.
Yeah, that was annoying. I put him on my fantasy team.
Nice. Fantasy bench squad, huh?
Yeah, seriously.
Bench him up. It was cool because we also made an adjustment, right? We saw a really interesting offensive oriented with the 3 key players, our 3 big dudes, and Vando and Beverly. That's the first time all of these guys have been together in a lineup. In my opinion, was fantastic because I think the early energy that Vando provided was carried throughout the entire game. Throughout the entire game, all players came in with a bit of an extra, edge, and I think Vando kind of carried us early onset to those extra possessions, those awesome screens for D'Lo, those extra passes for Cat. It was great, and I just want to say, like, game ball might not go to Vando, but like it should be passed through Vando.
Yeah, it's kind of crazy. I'm looking at his stats now, and that's not how I envisioned them being.
Yeah, right.
I really thought that he was gonna have crazy stats like double, 3 blocks, 3 steals. Well, he did have three steals and 2 blocks, or no, 3 steals and 1 block. Just his. I mean, you're right. He probably he may not get the game ball, but man, oh man, he probably deserves the game ball tonight, just because he kept us in when the game was close. But
he has butterfingers at times, so there's some times when he's a little bit turnover prone, and maybe it's the pass leading into the turnover. But a couple of those fast breaks, and even the alley oop that wasn't an oop, it was a weird like lay-in thing. McDaniels did not get the start. I understand why McDaniels always starts. He's tall, he's lengthy, he's disciplined to an extent. But he doesn't really make like bad decisions or mistakes. He knows both parts of the schemes. But like coming off the bench, he had a much better outing tonight, which I would say, let's just keep this shit going, as D'Lo would say. But man, like, he still can't find his way to like not touch the player. Like, he's always doing something stupid that makes the foul call obvious.
And it's always pretty ticky-tacky too, which is the thing that kind of annoys me. I wish he would I've said this before, but I want it to be like a
Put him
harder
back.
foul, like or
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
or just straight up, like because like Towns did this one thing tonight where it was only one foul, so I won't go too crazy, but it's just a perfect example where he's like,
He hugged him.
well, yeah, he hugged him, but he was also like just straight up grabbing the chest of Anthony Davis.
Yeah.
And he also grabbed some other things of Anthony Davis tonight too. But did you see that play?
Yeah.
Okay, good. I wanted to make sure you saw that. But he was grabbing his jersey, and it's just like, why? Like, this is the kind of fouls that are happening where it's like, why are we doing this? You know.
Yeah.
But
hard
yeah.
foul, don't foul. Like,
I like that.
let it
motto.
happen.
Yes.
Yeah. Or nut shot. Like, do something.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
That was one of his 2 or 3 flamboyant drives
That was crazy.
to the game. But anyways, we don't need to talk about that.
Nope.
Very, very positive outcome. Of course, we won. After kind of a stinker of a first half, we responded. And boy, do we need to see those kind of things live. And boy, do we need to see that evolution of our team and like, cohesion start to take shape.
Mm-hmm.
Because we're constantly shifting rotation minutes, like who's guarding who's with who. Like, it's kind of like bizarre, right? This far into a developed season. But okay, is this our team? Is this like what we look like moving forward? Well, we fucking hope so. Because we got the beef and cheddars barely 12 for 37.
Oh, we did. I was just checking that literally right now. That's so funny you said that.
It wasn't questioned coming into the half. Like, we had like 1 or 2 threes max, and like they like then Cat was popped off or something.
Yep.
But low turnovers. I would say most of our turnovers were in the fourth quarter when we just got relaxed.
Mm-hmm.
Heavy pressure on the front court. It was kind of cool to see. And so, like, I want that. The first couple of games of the season, we had that. We lost it, and we had it again. I like to see that. And any game that you see Balmaro in is also a win, right? So
pretty much
let's have that happen.
Yeah. All right. Well, quickly before we move to the tier list, if you're new here, drop a like, subscribe, and join the journey of this season, because it may have a lot of ups and downs.
Join the journey.
It may have a lot of ups and downs.
Join the journey was my hashtag catchphrase for my previous podcast.
Really interesting. I did not do that.
Join
research.
the journey.
Oh man, that's okay. We're called Built from Day One. So, anyways, on to the tier list, and we need everyone to participate.
We need everyone to participate except for Wright the Fourth or something, who's still in the G League or D League. G League.
Yes, he is, and he was like Okay, the Iowa
He's
Wolves
popping off.
Are going insane. Like they had this like double overtime game where he was hitting threes like at the buzzer to go to multiple overtimes. Like, what are we talking about? He's crazy.
Cool. Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, we're getting some good players in there. Players that probably deserve minutes in the NBA.
This is true. And he is the only player, I believe.
Who did not play.
He's the only player that did not play tonight, which is kind of wild.
That's wild. Usually it's a stacked roster.
yeah. Well, the last
usually
game...
it's a team. Usually it's a team that Jimmy Butler is like, ooh, come to me.
Oh my god, yeah. I think the last game we actually had like 7 players on the did not play list. So, well, I'll take it. So let's get the highlights rolling, and they're actually highlights tonight. They're not lowlights. We don't have to have everybody suggest different things to watch tonight.
We were up 33, and I was like, "Where are the subs?" And I was like, "Maybe we're just that desperate for a win that we just need to keep our starters in there for an extra 5 minutes."
Christian, you are 100% right. We do not, and honestly, there's quite a few players that we probably do not need to grade tonight. We're just gonna maybe put them in a C tier or something like that. So
yeah.
I think Nathan Knight, Leandro Balmaro, Jake Layman, Jalen Noel, Jordan McLaughlin, Torian Prince are probably all in C category tonight.
Yeah, let's do it. Actually, I didn't want to see Prince at all, but we saw him and I was a little worried about it, but he didn't do anything to hurt us.
I thought the same thing.
You know what? Also, in the other comment about the garbage time players is Jake Layman went in before Balmaro, which was a little bit of an L for Finch. But Jake Layman almost dunked on top of Dwight Howard, I wanted that to happen so bad.
He did try. That was pretty funny. So who do we have? I just gotta make sure.
Oh my god, Dwight Howard and Rondo were playing garbage time minutes.
Yeah.
What the fuck? Their roster is so bad.
It was Jordan McLaughlin. Yeah. And then I think that's all of them. Hopefully, we'll see. If I
Yeah,
forgot,
I think so.
we'll come
Wow,
back.
that's a stacked roster. So I would hope the majority of our team is above this. Otherwise, we have some questions about our depth.
Well, yeah, I mean the it's kind of a broken tier list since the C means what we expect out of them. There
Yeah,
should probably just be a garbage time tier, and I
yeah.
forgot to add the Glenn Taylor tier
Oh, right, right, right,
and
right.
all the other tiers that everybody was given. So, anyways, on to the first, I guess, legitimate player who we will also spend very little time on,
Yeah,
is Josh Okogie. He did have 7 rebounds in 14 minutes.
dude,
Um, Good effort plays tonight, but it's kind of a Josh night.
it's a Josh night for
Yeah,
sure.
and he did have at the end of the first half, or was it the first quarter even, where
First,
he got that
that
flagrant
Carmelo,
foul or whatever. That was insane.
good
Also,
for him.
a crazy unique situation, which was like I don't even know. Also, it kind of made me think, why not just flagrant foul people at the end of halves? Because there's no chance that people can make a bucket after at the very end. So,
Yeah. So wait till point one, and you're like
yeah,
fucking hack their
just
face.
go crazy. Yeah. And
Yeah.
then also, side note, I don't know what our team's IQ is in those kind of situations. You cannot shoot a shot with point one.
Oh yeah.
You have to tip it in. I don't know
But
why.
dude,
Yeah, I mean he made it, which was great.
that's incredible. Yeah.
But I wish we would do the Trevor Booker. Have you ever seen that play?
He just
Yes.
flicked it behind his head.
I don't know why people don't try that. I feel like that's an
Like
open opportunity.
because Trevor Booker is a god.
Yeah, he should be on our team right now. Um, anyways, Josh is a C tonight. I barely even care about really putting them in order, to be honest with you, but
Above top of the C pack.
I did put him at the top. Naz Reid, another good Naz Reid night. He had 12 points, 5 rebounds, 6 of 12 shooting, but more so, he just looked great out there again.
He looked great. He took 12 shots, which was kind of surprising, given the other scores around him when he was in there for a while. But his aggressiveness was really, really needed. And you could see how like sometimes it's night and day with Towns and Naz Reid. Naz kind of like does the stable like basic
Like normal
fundamental
center things.
things
Yes.
when he wants to, and it's like, oh, D'Lo knows what to do here and passes him the
Yes.
ball, and I'm like, whoa, that would feel really good if it happened more and more often. And it only
Yes.
happened once or twice this game with Cat and D'Lo, but
Yep.
like they need to form some chemistry on the court, and it shouldn't just be on the perimeter. And it shouldn't just be fucking handing the ball off to each other. There should be some real good, like, how do we guard this type of situation?
Yes.
And well, anyways, this is not talking about Naz Reid. Naz Reid was fantastic.
Yeah, no, Naz was.
Those 3 O boards were, very, very like needed. And I think moving forward, we kind of have like 6 to 8 players that we could kind of rely on. There's not going to be a whole lot of doubt, with Nas. Like he could kind of pop off and have, or not pop off, but he could have like a terrible night. But at least his stature is there, his size is there, and he's going to rebound as much as he can. And he's not fouling as he used to. I really appreciate that out of him.
That's true. I didn't even realize that. Yeah, you're right. He hasn't been. What did he have tonight? He had none. Oh, wait, no, that was turnovers. He had 2 fouls, so only 2. That's pretty good. And I'll talk about this a little bit more with D'Lo, but similar to like you were mentioning and I was mentioning just a second ago, like him and D'Lo, Naz Reid and D'Lo is a combo that I really like because you see a little bit of that Brooklyn D'Lo because he gets to do a little bit more of the pick and roll where he kind of draws the big off and he kind of gets this little bit of separation from both defenders. Both players do, so that D'Lo can either he can have a floater or he can bounce past it to the big for a layup, and we saw that maybe 2 times from him and Nas tonight, and we saw it once from him and Karl, which is I think honestly the first time I could remember that ever happening. But it was like awkward because Towns is just so much more of a perimeter player that he just is like he gets kind of awkward when he gets in those situations. But I was like,
yeah,
man, if Towns could learn how to roll with D'Lo the way D'Lo needs it, that's when you truly unlock the maximum potential of D'Lo and Towns, and that's exciting. But anyways, Naz Reid had a great game. I think a B tonight, right?
Yeah, totally B. Oh my god, the highlight of that D'Lo 3 was so sick. Yeah, that there was that D'Lo to Cat moment that I was like, this is so replicable with
Mm-hmm.
D'Lo and Nas or J-Mac and Nas, and it happens more often than it does with Cat, and it should happen with Cat because it keeps defenses honest. It forces them to sag off of D'Lo a bit, and more importantly, Nas has so much potential when he's driving, downhill. He has a lot of moves, and it's like a lot of simple moves, but he understands when to do certain things. I think we're over talking it, but the one of our first bench players here, but it's just I'm really excited to have these kind of players on our team, like not championship level quality yet, but it's like
Mm-hmm.
where we have a stable floor now.
And that's what I was excited about coming into the season, but
Yeah, right.
we just haven't seen that work
We haven't
every
seen it.
game.
Yeah.
So, um, but next up, we were kind of talking about him a little bit. Jaden McDaniels had a again kind of an interesting game, but it was a pretty good game overall.
Mm-hmm.
He had 9.6 rebounds. He was 4 of 10 shooting. He also took quite a few shots.
Wow.
He had 0 fouls in his first 6 minutes, and then he proceeded to
Crazy.
have 3 in the next 6 minutes.
Yeah. Right.
So kind of back and forth a little bit, but I really did like seeing him come off of the bench. I thought, and maybe it was just the matchups tonight, but and Vando's aggressiveness in the beginning was super fun. But yeah, I just enjoyed watching him come off the bench, and I think I believe in McDaniels to some extent. And I know I've been a hater, as some people might say, but it's more so just that I have realistic expectations in my mind for him,
Mm.
and I like him as a role player on our team. I think he's a really good role player and somebody who is unfortunately probably one of the biggest players on our team. So, but yeah, no, I thought this was a fine game from Jaden. I'd probably give him a C tonight just because this is probably pretty close to what we expect from him.
Yeah, I think a B tier might be also okay. He didn't do the defensive stats that we tend to love and not love, but like consistently see
Mm-hmm.
the one block here, the two blocks, the one steal here or there. He was in the flow of the offense a lot. Like Ant was looking and hunting for Jaden. I thought a little bit too much, and
Mm-hmm.
I also thought that when most of our stars were out, Jaden had a couple of plays where he had free reign to drive to the rim, which they're trying to do that more often with him now, which is, maybe a thing to look for in games in the future. But, trying it out versus a team in a must-win kind of situation, I don't really like that.
Yeah.
Anywho, trying to keep this short. I like him on the bench. I kind of ride with your opinion of him right now because it's like he's doing a lot of great things, just basically like fundamentals are great and very sound, but like he's not doing anything extraordinary, and he also gets out hustled, out muscled, and he gets foul. He's very foul prone.
Mm-hmm.
Prove it. Get back in the starting lineup by proving it.
Yeah.
And so I'd rather have this lineup that we started with and have Jaden just kind of be off the bench because we haven't seen that you proved to be a starter yet.
Mm-hmm. It's true.
So
So you said B tier for him? Where is he?
yeah, but we could go C as well.
I can never find him because all the heights are wrong. I'll give him B. We won. We're on the fence.
Internal
So
temp high. Allow it to cool. Your camera
my camera
is
said that.
off.
Oh,
Yes.
interesting.
Yeah.
Well, let's see. Is it really warm?
I don't know.
It is a little warm. We'll let it cool for a second. You guys will just get Ashwin's face for a moment.
It's all right. What's up, headshot? Good win, good dub tonight, he says.
Very good.
The Lakers wised up to Nas as the Roman. We turned it over a few times late. Yeah, we were forcing it to Nas. And I was like, this is just we were just choreographing the passes to Nas. That was really weird. But anyways, and what's up, Jelson? Jelson's here.
Hey.
Yeah.
Well,
Cool. So, yeah, let's keep going, I guess.
yes. The camera is going to be hot for a little while, so we'll leave it. Anyways, so we're on to Beasley.
Frank
Oh
Vogel.
boy.
Jake Erickson's got to say, Frank Vogel's got to go. Did he wear shoulder pads tonight? Man, like they kept on showing Frank Vogel, and he had these like really like perky shoulders. Anyways, I don't know why I'm paying attention to fucking dumb shit like that. But anyways, let's go.
Anyways, Malik Beasley, another stinker of a night.
Yeah.
5 points, 2 of 10 shooting. He did it at the 3, and I think I have probably different. I've said this every time, so I don't need to harp on it. But I really think that Beasley's going to take like half the season to be to the Beasley that we expect. And that may not be good enough, but I think it's going to take him.
Jail time.
Yeah, I just think it's going to take such a long time for him to get back into shape and game mode. So, I guess I'm just happy to see that he's in good spirits out there, even though he hasn't had. Oops, the highlights are even gone.
He's had like one or two good games, and that's about it, or quarters even.
Yeah, or shots. But yeah, no, I just think it's going to take a long time for him. So I'm happy to see that he's in good spirits. I don't want him to get too down on it. But at the same time, I mean, like at some point this season he does have to catch up. So I'm not concerned yet, but at the same time, this was a bad game.
This is a very bad game for him, and the chat is correct. I think a D tier. He's below Nathan Knight. Like that's got to stink. I will say that we can't wait for him. I don't want to wait for him. I want him to show up and be productive. I don't feel like we're paying him the bucks, but I don't feel like he's deserving of the minutes right now. And out, like this is weird and off base for me to say, but I'd rather have like a fucking Jalen Noel out there, just a splash of him to show like just 5 minutes instead of Beasley early in the first quarter. I'd rather have someone else because Beasley, as great as he can be and has proven to be, has just been awful.
I was really hoping you were going to say Jake Layman.
Oh, well, you're not. I mean, I'm not Dane Moore.
Yeah, I would like to see Jake Layman out there more. I really do.
Dane Moore said that.
Did
with
he?
Conviction. Yeah. He wants Jake Layman out there.
I think he's a guy. I've memed about him in the past, but like, I seriously do think that he should be getting minutes.
He doesn't hurt us out there, and he's a 3-point threat from every position he plays.
He's kind of. I mean, he's not big, but he's like decent.
Yep.
He's like, I think he's like 6'8", 6'9", or something like that.
Also, you can throw lobs to him.
This is true, and he tries to dunk on Dwight Howard. I want to see that every night. But. Anyways, we just did Beasley, so we're finally onto the starters. You've all stuck around long enough, and this next part is sponsored by Arby's. No,
we have the meats.
And they still haven't given out free tickets, FYI, for any games. But
I thought their promotion was just for. Oh, really?
I mean, they haven't given out like tonight. Sometimes, occasionally, when we get the 12 threes, they do the Arby's thing the next day, but sometimes they have a little secret tickets that show up, and that's how I've gotten to go to almost every game so far. So
that's why your internal temp is too high.
I know. I'm like, I don't understand why this is.
You're side scrolling the Arby's feed.
Yes, that's what it is.
That's so great.
Anyways, though, we are on to the starters, and the starters. Okay, apparently, this is crazy to me. Jared Vanderbilt only played 18 minutes.
Did not think that was.
It felt like he was out there for 48 minutes.
Yeah, totally.
But anyways, he had a great game. We kind of went over his stats earlier, and they're boring. But he did have 3 steals, which I guess is the most notable of them all. Only 2 personal fouls also, which is huge. And he was a plus 31.
Crazy. He was guarding Anthony Davis for a good portion of that first half, and even in the start of the third quarter. And I wouldn't say keeping him in check, but Anthony Davis is going to get his. But Anthony Davis only got 22 points on 13 shot attempts, and well, that's the passive Anthony Davis we love because we don't have to deal with it. And that was always kind of his weird thing in New Orleans, where he's just too passive. He doesn't take the game over, right? And so that's what happened. And Vando is a direct result of that because Vando was pressing, Vando was getting him out of his comfort spots. And when he was making and taking shots, it was at like the free throw line. And it was like, fuck, thank you. Take those shots. Like, I don't care about these shots. I care about you getting to the line and getting those fucking jams in, right? So I thought Vando did fantastic at like displacing Anthony Davis's, and I'll probably always say Anthony Edwards in that.
I know.
Anthony Davis is kind of like, normal game flow. So I would say, high B tier to A tier because we're expecting that out of Vando when he starts because he proved to us every time he starts, he brings a lot of energy. He's never really been this big de facto like problem on offense for us.
I was thinking A tier. I thought he was just one of the, if not the, I mean, Towns is probably the player of the game. Honestly, it's just a great overall game from everybody. So I don't know if there's any one particular player, but Vanderbilt just played such a key role in the first half with keeping us in the game and giving us those energy plays. So I see we've got a lot of B's, some A's.
Make the judgment call.
I think since we're on the fence, we won. We're bumping him up. He's going to be an A tonight.
I like it. Ride with Christian here. It's funny. We traded Rocco, who was, and they're talking about Rocco a little bit in the chat right now. We traded Rocco for Beasley and a throwaway of Vando, and damn, we fucking nailed that throwaway.
Seriously,
right? That throw-in or whatever it was. And I'm really happy about him and what he's been able to show and prove to us and prove to the league. Like even your throw into a trade, your filler in for a trade, you are riding a bench of a team that has playoff aspirations, and all of a sudden you can come in and really be a big jolt of energy. And I'm a big fan of Vanderbilt as a person, as also as a teammate here on our team.
And Vanderbilt from day one. But yeah, he had a great game. So next up, another starter that had a great game. Patrick Beverly. He played 23 minutes, 11 points, 7 rebounds, 4 assists, a steal. He shot 5 of 6, and I think all of those were floaters. No, there was a couple great finishes and ones that he had that were I think it was in the beginning of the third quarter is when those started to happen, and that's when we really started to get some momentum. Yes, it was, because we went up to like 60 to 51, and then it was like 52 to 60 or 62 to 51. And yeah, it was just a huge momentum play. He started talking some smack to the Lakers bench.
I love it.
And I thought this was a great game from Beverly. I do start to, as the season goes on, wonder how good of a defender he is, and more of just an irritant that he is. But I thought he had a great game.
Regardless of how he actually produces, like stat-wise on the defensive end, his energy is very contagious. Just like how Vando is for the bigs. Mm-hmm. You see Cat a little bit more up. He's pulling up his shorts a little higher. Just to like get into the paint or get into the offender's like role. Beverly does that for our guards. I think he gives a lot of praise to D'Lo. Kind of, I think a direct result of D'Lo's improved defense is Beverly, honestly, and even seeing Ant as like a two-way player, kind of growing behind, in front of our eyes. Beverly is a catalyst, and so he's an irritant, but he's a catalyst, and he's I'd never really seen him as a playmaker, as a shot taker, as a distributor. He's just more or less like oh shit, the clock's running out, give it to Beverly, have him shoot or something, right? Yeah. He's a career 40% 3-point shooter, which is already a plus for us. Mm-hmm. But the way that he's been able to just like guard the best player on the wing or on as the ball's coming up, just be an irritant, be a disruptor. The stats don't have to matter. It's unbelievable what he's been able to do for us. We probably haven't risen the ranks yet defensively yet. This game will probably help considerably, but A tier for him, because we don't expect a whole lot of offense from him. We expect a whole lot of like zeros on the stat line. But when we were struggling to score a little bit, like he brought it, and he had those 2 and 1s. So stupid.
I love those plays though.
And he has this really weird fun. He has this weird drive to the paint for a sky hook or a little hook shot.
Yes,
he's like, fuck you, Anthony Davis. I'm going to just do this right on top of you.
That was so funny. He's done this multiple times. Luckily tonight it went in, but he's done this multiple games, and I'm just like, who do you think you are doing that move? But I love
this. Is also great. This is also great for us because, we could be very predictable, and this starting 5 has like the nucleus of something very predictable. They're not going to pass to Vando. They're not going to pass to Beverly. Just double up on Towns or get Anthony Edwards off the ball, right? And it's kind of a very predictable offense because we don't move the ball very well either. Well, defenses have to trust Beverly, have to respect Beverly when he has games like this.
Yeah,
and that makes me happy. That makes me confident that we can build something from this win. And maybe defenses have to be more honest about how they guard Beverly and how they have to guard Vando,
Yeah, I agree wholeheartedly with you said about this possibly being maybe a catalyst for us going forward, and I'll talk about that a little bit more after we're done with the tier list. But cool. But Beverly, I agree. I think he was an A tonight. Oh no, what did I do? I'm in shambles. The camera's back on.
Okay.
But
put up, Cam.
Where's the tier list? I lost it. There it is. Patrick Beverly in his Clippers jersey is an A tier tonight. I All right, we're on to our big three, and I'm skipping ahead again because I want to do Anthony Edwards before we do Karl Anthony Towns or D'Angelo Russell. Anthony Edwards, yet another. Well, not yet another. I mean, another player that had a stinker game. So I kind of think. I mean, he only had 9 points tonight, and weirdly was put out there in the fourth quarter when we were up by 33. And they were kind of joking about it on the Timberwolves broadcast that maybe he was going in there to get.
Standpoint.
Yeah, and Dave Benz, of course, brought up the fact that everybody just is dying to know and is how many games does LeBron have 10 points or more in? And he made a comparison saying, "Oh well, I mean, and he's like, oh, that was tongue in cheek. Anyways, major turbulence there, Dave Benz. But yeah, Ant. I mean, had a bad game. The only thing, as we were talking about earlier, that I credit towards him tonight is that his bad game didn't affect the rest of the team, which is, I think, how it should be when you're a player like that.
Yeah, looking at his stat line, I don't remember all of his turnovers. I remember most of his turnovers happening in the fourth quarter. And so if that's the direct result of him coming in to cough it up to those very predictable passes to Jaden and Naz Reid, well, that we can scratch that off. This is one of his worst games as a offensive player for us, and I don't care.
I don't either.
He was a distraction for the Lakers the whole time he was in there on the court. They just did not want him to go off. No dunks, no anything, no drives to the rim, and he got 2 drives to the rim. You know what I mean? So cool. And this is good for Ant also, because it's you don't have to carry the load every night. You can rely on your teammates more and trust in your teammates, especially when Cat pops off like this.
Yeah. And I think, it opened the door and the opportunity for both D'Lo and Cat, mainly Cat, to have the game that he did. So
they're saying there's a hangover tier, and I don't know if I noticed anything, but apparently they were talking about tequila earlier in the chat. So was Ant drunk last night or something? That'd be pretty interesting and good for him. Underage drinking is a thing we support on the show.
Oh my God, he's 20. That's right. What?
So, anyways, I'm not extrapolating anything or don't aggregate this or whatever, but just maybe there is something in there where he was a little sluggish because of outside factors.
LA, man.
LA, it's gonna eat you up.
But not Towns. Edwards had a rough game. I think he probably falls into the D category tonight. Maybe, I mean, God, this is weird performance-wise, or numbers-wise.
Interesting. Yeah. Hard to grade this.
It is kind of hard to grade because, this is a really way less production than we expect from him.
Yeah.
And he had 5 turnovers as well. But
I'm fine with it. I would say bottom of the C tier or D tier. C tier is actually his averages.
Yeah, exactly. That's why I'm this is tricky. You almost want to go. I can't give him Wancho tier. It wasn't that bad of a game. Stats wise it was, but like I'm saying, he wasn't taking away from the team. So I can't give him Wancho tier.
Well, I'm on the low C train.
What's chat
up to
thinking? You? Does chat have any grades out there yet?
Jake Erickson just didn't feel like he was involved in our offense. Yeah, there were some times where they were force feeding it to Edward or to Ant just to get him involved, and a couple missed threes here and there. That's what happens. And then in the fourth quarter when he was trying to be the person to lead the team, he was passing, he was distributing more. So this is hard to grade.
I'm gonna give him a D. We can't. I feel like I can't give him a C. I know he wasn't that bad as a taking away from our team tonight, but I can't, if I'm gonna keep any integrity to my stupid rules for this stupid tier list, I can't put him in C.
I'm right here. That's the tier list.
It's just average game. This is not an average game for me. But
sure, yeah, D tier. He's got to be better. But at the same time, we won a game. A 6-game losing streak. We are going to have to rely on him on a nightly basis, and he needs to come to play because we are expecting things from him now, and he's raised that floor for him where he's guaranteeing us high octane, not necessarily great efficiency, but just very, very aggressive offense. And while he didn't do that tonight, he needs to come to fucking play.
48 points or bust, basically.
Yeah, right.
All right. And now we're on to the top two players of the night. I am still going to save Cat for last, so we're going to skip ahead and do the top player minutes-wise, who only played 33 minutes. It's just good to get some rest before a back-to-back.
Yeah, wow, interesting. Our first back-to-back.
Yeah, is it? Oh, wow. God, that's crazy.
We've had a really easy schedule.
God, that's so sad. Anyways, D'Angelo Russell had a good game tonight. 22 points, 7 assists, 5 rebounds. At a point, I thought he was going to be a triple-double threat because he kept getting all these rebounds, and I was like, oh my goodness. Yeah. Efficiency-wise, he was all right. He was 8 of 19. It felt like he was better than that, probably because he was 5 of 9 from 3. He did have 4 turnovers, and honestly, every turnover was like shockingly bad. He was just making terrible passes. But then only 2 personal fouls, and he was the team leader in plus minus with plus 36, and it did feel like it.
Wild. Never thought I would see that together. I'm happy for him. He laid a fucking egg in the first half. He was very slow. He didn't have any like kind of confidence in his layup ability. And he was taking some fadeaway like kind of free throw shots that were clanking off the rim. Hated his first half stint, so much so that I was like, how are we getting out of this funk if it's not going to be Edwards, coming out, right? Guns blazing. Well, he just proved me fucking wrong in the second half. He was very assertive. His passes were crisp. He had this great give and go with Cat. I love that play. I'll watch that play on repeat probably after this because I'm weird. And he made his shots when they were kind of starting to sag off on him a bit, right? Very, very potent player when his shots go. And there's this one play where he had this like big pump fake and he had this like up and over, but he didn't move his feet at all. It was so hilarious. And it was like, damn, it was so fucking sexy. And like, I know he can't jump really high or whatever, but he uses his tools. And I love that he was able to find himself in this game. Oftentimes a fucking Carmelo Anthony, Russell Westbrooks of the league, they will shoot themselves fucking like sour into the game, right? They will just wreck the fucking team and just take over themselves. And D'Lo was still kind of engaged with everything, and he was one of the better defenders on our team too. I can't believe he was boxing out players. He was getting in the passing lanes, disrupting the flow on the offense, which whatever the fucking offense was for the Lakers, it wasn't there. And, yeah, maybe he gets boxed out. Maybe he's not, the best person to like post up or use as a post up defender because like Anthony Davis scored at will whenever D'Lo was switched on him. But D'Lo really like fucking tried, and I was really excited about most of his minutes tonight. Most like entirely his second half. Big ups, growing confidence from the fan base in D'Lo with games like this.
Definitely, he's honestly been. Weirdly, he hasn't really even had that good of a year, but he's been kind of weirdly winning me over. But I think that is solely based off the fact that he is our only point guard that successfully runs the offense and can like play make, because like we had Pat Bev come in as our second option, and then we have Little Mac come in, and it's like, Little Mac can do some things, but like he's the third stringer for a reason. And Pat Bev, as much as I love his intensity and stuff like that, he's just not meant to be playing 30 plus minutes a game. So to see D'Lo out there, I think is just so refreshing. I don't know if that's me warming up to D'Lo, not that there's needs to be warming up to D'Lo, but you know what I mean, like becoming more of like a big fan of his, or if it's just a big fan of having fluid offense. But I think
it's a combination of both, for sure.
I think it is a combination of both. But for tonight's game, I think I agree 100% with Gerald Becker. Tonight's D'Lo is exactly what we expect. And for exactly what we expect, I think it's a C. Because first half was rough, second half was bad. I think we all in our minds probably think, oh yeah, probably B because it was a pretty good night from D'Lo. But this is also what we expect. So this is where the tier list gets a little funky, but I do think it was a good night, but it's probably what we need and expect from D'Lo on a nightly basis as a minimum. So I think C is probably fair for him tonight.
Yeah, and I would say low B, but C is fine. we had a lead and he extended the lead, and he basically in that third quarter was like, this game is ours. And I love that. Like there was a point where he was just like, I'm gonna take 3 or 4 threes in a row and make them. And Cat did the same thing. It was just like, this is ours. This game is ours. Holy shit. I love that so much. Like if you're chucking for chucking's sake, if you're on a heat check and you're making like 5 stinkers right after that, I put you down a notch. But he realized where his time was in the game, and he made those shots count and matter. Really, really happy to see something like that out of our stars. We're paid the big bucks, as Kat said, to figure it out.
And speaking of Kat, we are on to the last player
transition
of the tier list. Great job, Ashwin. All right, Kat only played 30 minutes tonight. Had 29 points, 7 rebounds, 2 assists, 2 steals, a block. Another great efficiency night. Well, I mean, last game wasn't efficient for Towns, but overall this season he's been very efficient. 11 of 17, 4 of 8 from 3. Hit all his free throws. Only had 3 fouls. No turnovers from Towns tonight. This was the Cat game. Not that we necessarily... Well, I mean, maybe we expect this, but this was a very good game. Like, I think Towns, It's interesting because he'll have this stat line every single night, whether he had a good night or not. Tonight was a night where if you watch the game, you understand that this was probably Towns' best game of the season.
Oh, yeah, maybe. I can't recall all of his games so far. He's had some good ones. He's had a couple stinkers. This one is out on the back end of a few stinkers, right? So this one rises to our top of mind, kind of out of the new, like the last game that was just played. Was it this great game, greatest game ever? Kind of opinion. Everything he did on the court was purposeful, with a couple of exceptions, and we can live with those exceptions, just like how D'Lo is D'Lo. Cat is Cat. He will fall to his like basic form of instincts, and it's flopping around and yelling at the ref and all that bullshit occasionally. But when he's like engaged, his head is like fucking fixed, like locked in, and those first 3 minutes were telling to me about like a different Cat tonight has come into the play, and I was really, really happy about that. 4 for 8 from 3 is sensational. He hit 0 threes. He was 0 for 2 or 0 for 3 from the first half, and so he just popped off in the third, right? Straight up popped off. And one thing that's like a weird, I wouldn't say growing development here, is Cat maybe not be getting the doubles that he is so accustomed to getting. And, stats and whatever pundits will be like, aha, tisk, tisk, tisk. He's got to find those moments to still get the boards if he's going to be really worried about his double-double status and stuff like that. And so 7 boards is kind of light for a big man, right? 3 free throws is a little light for a big man. I'm not nitpicking here. I'm just saying that this is our big man. Get to the fucking line, get those fucking boards, be the big that we need you to be, but also, you can splash in the Cat that you want to be, right? So, Anthony Davis, despite his 7 for 13 incredible efficiency night, he kind of looked a little like he was there for moments, but not really. And he was still went to the line 10 times or whatever. Cat needs to go to the line 8 to 10 times a game.
Yeah, and I think
that needs to happen.
Something that I was thinking about tonight, which is, I guess, unfortunate, but I was feeling pretty good about Towns and his ability to not complain for the past, 5 or 6 games. I mean, he hasn't really been complaining. It's been really
he's responding.
Good. Yeah.
He's just responding to the criticism. Like usually he's like, oh, I'm going to play with fucking passion or whatever. And it's like, oh, I'm going to play my game. But his head is kind of humbled right now. His like mindset is like, oh yeah, maybe I'm not the MVP type player that I thought I am.
Yes.
I'm gonna be humbled, and I'm gonna listen to coach and calm down. And I think that's working. Good on Finch.
Yes, but
good on Towns.
What I was gonna say is he is better at that, but I think before he's gonna start getting calls at the level of Anthony Davis, at the level of all the other star players to get like 10 plus free throws a game, is he needs to stop the extra, what is it, velocity or what was it, voltage, something like that. That needs to stop because refs see that and they just know that that's him trying to get a call. Also, the kicking of the feet out on threes needs to stop. It has to stop. So, there's little things like that, which I guess could all be under that category of velocity, or voltage. I keep using the wrong V words. But I think that's probably the thing that he needs to focus on more now than even the arguing of calls, because at this moment in time, he's not really arguing calls and he's still not getting them. It's that extra stuff that he puts on at the end of everything. And I think a lot of the time he isn't actually getting contact. So he's just making it more difficult on himself to make shots that are not really contested, or not contested as much as they may seem to be contested. So, but, and then also I wasn't sure if I said this after I said this and you gave me a face. So I want to clarify. I hope I didn't say this was Cat's best game of his career, because that's not what I meant.
No. You said like best game of the season.
Yes. Okay. Good. I wanted to make
sure. No. And yeah. I know. I made a face. Maybe that's just my face, man. Resting dub face.
Hey, we like that.
Yeah. I got so happy that I threw on my undersized shirt. Go Towns, go. Anywho. This may be the first win of the lime green era, so
I think it is. So what are we thinking for Towns' grade tonight?
Yeah, A, because we won. A, because he kind of was the Cat we've wanted. He made very little, I would say, mistakes or those plays that we just cringe at. His passing was purposeful, not over or extra, except for a couple, which we will just let him have. We let him have like 3 or 4 dumb fucking passes a game. We will have his 1 or 2 flails a game. Like, let that happen. His nut punch, let's more of those, please. More nut punches.
Yes.
Let's just see what happens. Right? Respond to all the criticism. We're going to keep criticizing the fuck out of you because we demand it, because I think you deserve it, because you're 7 years in. This is your team. We built around you, and you haven't been performing. Like, there's been some great efficiency games, but it's like not enough. And people are starting to dismiss you as a top tier player. Well, you aren't. In our eyes, you are a phenomenal top 10 player, kind of like potential greatest of all time as a big player, right? Like as a big man. So live up to it, own up to it, get your fucking strengths and skills like as an advantage to us, as an asset to us, as opposed to having the teams put fucking Ja Morant on you,
Yeah. Agreed. Chucky's gonna get you, JJ. I put him in A, and that is all the players we have tonight.
That's a full list.
That is. We do have, you don't see it on the screen, but we do have Juancho, Jarrett Culver, Ricky Rubio, Ed Davis, Dave Benz, Jim Peterson, and Chris Finch, which I guess
Dave Benz gets an A1 for retweeting me.
He did. That's right. I forgot to talk to you about that. He did retweet you.
We're talking about it.
God, that's funny.
He loves himself, I guess. So cool. On to the next one. It feels good to win. It is a very pleasant time to talk about the Timberwolves when we have a victory, because regardless of criticism or the crap that we say or spit out, at least there's a win behind it all.
And I think for me, I was expecting a season where we went through intensely bad losing streaks, but then also have some really highs where we win a lot of games in a row. And I think so far to start the season, obviously we started the season lighter, so we had an easier schedule. So I was expecting to be 7-4 right now, not 4-7. Cats land on their feet, God.
That was so funny. Cats land on the feet as he falls to the ground. Yeah. But the timing was so good.
I do wish that I lost my thought process. I can't stop thinking about Dave Benz now.
Yeah, that's back on us.
Yeah, but
no, you were talking about like early season woes, the losing to kind of be in chunks, and for us to have to work through it all, and we weren't gonna necessarily be 7-1. Like, it was just a very fun time to be alive in that space before the season started, being like, let's be really high on this team and be 7-1.
I just think I guess my thought process was like, not that I thought that us picking the games was going to mean like, oh, every single game that I pick is going to be right, but I think you have somewhat of an idea of like games that you maybe should or shouldn't win. And it's just been like the complete opposite of everything other than like the Rockets game to begin the season.
Right.
So it's been frustrating, but I know I was personally very down after the last few games. I was kind of ready to sell it all, and
Ooh.
I'm not necessarily out yet, but I mean, this can happen. This is very possible for us to. I mean, we're only 3 games below 500. We're still, I mean, we still have 71 games left or whatever it is. So, I shouldn't be too far down. But as a Timberwolves fan, I know what's possible and I know what can possibly come next, which is
Yeah.
another rebuild. And as much as I don't want to do that, there's parts of me that gets excited for things like that and sees possibilities. But, yeah, basically right now, wins are great, but I am not going to get too high on a win until we are over 500 and can
Okay.
really show something. So if we win, I'll be very calm and collected, unless it's like some crazy buzzer beater dunk from Ant or something like that. But I will be very calm and collected until there are proven results where we are 500.
Towns said, "Finally, God owed me one" in his post game interview. Ugh, I hate when that man speaks every time. But I didn't want to hear that R word from you tonight, and it comes out every time we talk about the Timberwolves. But
I was like, R word. What did I say?
oh, you said rebuild.
Yeah.
I'll just say, even after a win, you're like, oh, I'm just waiting for that rebuild. Your mind's spinning. You could be a good GM, or you could be a GM, not a good one. Sorry, David Kahn level maybe.
Exactly.
Yeah, Steph Curry. No, how about that guy who smiles great?
Ugh.
I don't know. It's fantastic to be a fan of basketball when the shots go in, games are had and won, and you can build from this. Like, we saw some glimpses in the Warriors game, but we were down after that loss. We were kind of expecting to lose. We didn't want to lose in the fashion we did.
Yeah.
We were expecting to come out here and we said and predicted on Twitter this will be a good game for Cat, and it happened, and it happened. I said it, Cat, and it happened. And what's the outlook now? Like, what are we looking at in terms of games the next couple days, next couple games? We have the Clippers. It's like, whoa, Clippers tomorrow.
Yeah, we play the Clippers tomorrow, and I think honestly, we just have to look for the future to God. No, I'm just kidding.
Look up to the skies.
Yeah, but I think it would be overly optimistic to think that we're going to win tomorrow night. But at the same time, I think we had enough of a bad narrative for the past week or two that teams are still going to not take us seriously, and we may have JJ, stop talking, you're making me laugh. But
Yeah,
we may have a chance, and I think that the Clippers are a beatable team. I do think that they're a playoff team, a lock for a playoff team, but they are definitely beatable, and I really wish we would have beat them in one of the games that we played at home.
Yeah.
But I think it's possible. And I certainly hope if we win, I will be. I mean, my mood will improve at least 50%.
Yeah, at least a good 30% and a beef and cheddar later. I will say, the Clippers started out really sluggish. They found a little rhythm. Paul George is playing like a fucking MVP right now. His roster around him is a little suspect, though. They are making shots. They are playing above their kind of perceived stat line or statistics. I thought there would be some growing pains with that team without Kawhi, and they would have to do some roster shuffling. But Batum is fucking like prime Batum right now, apparently. I hope Terrence Mann, whatever that fucker is name. Yeah. So I want Cat to respond from the previous 2 games that he got fucking shellacked in those Clippers games. Like, I fucking hated Cat in those 2 games. Come back, kick Zubac's ass, kick Batum's ass, who the fuck you are guarding against, and take this game and throw in the next one. And we were talking about Ray Allen a little bit, like, beat him from the perimeter first, and then drive to the rim, get to the line, because you're awesome at the line. Get those dumb bigs in foul trouble. Let's have at it, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I don't know, man. Like, it's just, let's use this as momentum. If we lose, we're taking a step back, in my opinion.
Yeah. I think a loss hurts, but at the same time, I just, I have a hard time. Again, it's just going to be me waiting to believe it, or I won't believe it until I see it. So I certainly hope and think we can win. A win would be huge against this team after losing twice in the last month to them. but I just know that they have Timberwolves killers like Terrence Mann, Zubats, Hartenstein, and a Minnesota kid, Amir Coffey. So they could all go off against us, and it'll be painful again. So I just can't get my hopes up yet. I just can't.
And wow, we have the Phoenix on Monday. So
I will be at that game.
These are 2 games that are going to be a big test for us. Can we respond on the road on a back-to-back? This is like all odds against us, right? Can we do anything tomorrow? And then riding a win. And then on Monday, you're going up against the Western champs, right? The Phoenix Suns. And I don't know if they're rolling. I haven't really paid too much attention to them.
I think they've won. They're on like a winning streak right now.
Let's fucking end it. Like, let's keep the shit going, as D'Lo said, and build on this win, because we need to build some wins.
They've won 7 in a row. I just looked it up.
Well, okay. Well, they'll be on the back end of a back-to-back because they'll be playing Sunday and then Monday as well. So let's see if we can get that.
Nice. I mean, I'll take it. I think, I will say a positive and a negative, because I can never say anything too positive. But the positive being, if we beat the Clippers, I truly do believe in this team being able to be 500 this year. Forget all the last games. Forget losing to the Pelicans. Forget losing to, the Clippers twice already. If we win back-to-back games against the LA teams, we have the capability of being a 500 team, or at worst, being above our over-under for the season. Now, the bad news is that usually when I start to have a good feeling about the team also has that good feeling and stops playing with that same aggressiveness, and they kind of take it off and are like, oh yeah, you know what, we can hang with the best of them, and then they let 5 games slide until they have a team meeting where they have to like get everybody involved again. So
that's the realest like take that we could ever have. Like, we get really high and then we're just followed by 5-game loss streak. So we have to calm ourselves down and just treat this as any other night, but also this is a win and we're now over it. Yeah. Like, we're still desperate here.
Yep, exactly. Yeah. We're 4-7. That we have proved nothing. Literally nobody on our team has proved anything ever.
I really like what you said there. I really like that.
So I will be happy with a win tomorrow because it proves something, but keep proving it because that's what we need.
Gerald Becker says, preach. Preach. Correct. Jake Erickson said, take of the night. My man, Cam, with the cam back on.
There, yes, the cam is back on.
One could only be so right, and that's you right now at 1 a.m.
Perfect. It is 1 a.m., and this was our short version of a show.
I'm sorry, man.
That's okay.
We're consistently 70 minutes.
No doubt, regardless of what we say. Before the show, I wish you guys could see every time before. We need like a montage of every time before the show. We're like, quick one tonight.
Let's keep this one a short one.
You're like, yeah, I don't want to talk about this one. But anyways, well, I appreciate everybody for tuning in again.
Yeah,
it was great to see you, all the regulars in the chat again. I think we get a little bit more traction on losses, so we'll see. Maybe we can work in some losses for everybody. But I really do appreciate everybody. If you haven't liked the stream, go ahead and like it. I think it helps us. I don't really even know, to be honest with you. But if you're not already subscribed, I know pretty much all of you are. But go ahead and subscribe. We would appreciate that too. And follow us on all socials. But also I have to do one last shout out. Ashwin had a great tweet thread the other day on Towns's just like you got to go see it. What's your Twitter handle? It's is it Wolves Fan Gee?
It's Wolves Fan Gee. Yeah.
Okay. Yes. I always look for super optimistic Wolves fan, and then I saw that you changed it to like semi optimistic Wolves fan or something.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was. You got to check that out and follow us on Twitter. But
yeah.
Anyways, enough blabbing. I appreciate you guys as always, and stay tuned. I'm gonna have a Top Shot pack opening video coming out very soon, and I bought 5 packs today.
Riding high on that fucking Cash App shit,
I
man.
am deep.
Free cocks.
Oh no!
Don't clip that.
Clip it. Clip it. 52
Free crocs. Beat Crocs and 5 Top Shots later.
Yeah, but keep an eye out for the 5 Top Shot pack openings and free Cox apparently. But anyways, we're done for real. We're playing the outro / the intro. We will see you maybe tomorrow night. I have to decide if I'm coming back tomorrow night because it's going to be really late. Ashton will be here regardless. Maybe
and I'll fuck off the stream completely.
We'll see. All right. See you all.
Peace.
Have a great night.
Yep.